cool girl, I'm a cool girl. Ice cold, I roll my eyes at you, boy.
There's a gardener outside and it's really annoying. I don't understand why they're here literally every day. My mom and I got this new frosty chino from Wendy's. It's pretty good. Just a little watered down. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally doing the faith-based Q&A that I have been wanting to do for the longest time, and you guys finally pushed me to do it. You guys have been telling me that it's something that I should do. I follow Kristen Johns on Instagram and on YouTube, and I actually saw her make her version of this faith-based Q&A. Obviously she's a lot more open with just her faith, and she's married, you know. I feel like she's just obviously got a lot more going on than I do. So this is also my second time filming this because I looked over the footage from the first time I did this and the sound quality was just really bad. I was really bummed out that I had to film this over again because it got emotional. Anyway, the reason why it's taken me so long to make this video is because I feel like I still keep a lot of things in my life pretty private, and even as open as I am on social media with you guys and making vlogs and you guys seeing a lot of behind the scenes and my daily life and my daily routine, and now that Instagram has stories and all that, I feel like I do share a lot, but I've definitely always felt that my faith is something that I've kept a little bit more private, and I've gradually started to share a lot of that, which I'm really happy about because I feel like the platform that I have, I should be sharing God's word. I'm very lucky and very blessed. So before I keep going, because this is no matter what gonna be a pretty long video, I have tons of questions from all of you guys, like a bunch. A lot of them are pretty much similar, so I'm just gonna kind of put it all into one. So I did get this one a lot. It was like, how do you reconnect with God? Or when did I become a Christian? How old was I? Just in general, I got a lot of questions on how I got into touch with God. And I also got, what kind of Christian are you? And aren't you Catholic because you're Hispanic? Blah, blah, blah. Like a lot of those questions came up. So let's clear something up. I was baptized as a Catholic when I was an infant, literally like a year old, I'm pretty sure. I was not raised Catholic, didn't go to Catholic church at all. It is probably just like a Hispanic tradition. I wasn't brought up Catholic. My mom always believed in God, but I was never brought up in that Christian or Catholic household, never brought up in any specific type of household, which was also great because my parents allowed us to figure out the path that we want to be on and the faith that we choose. So luckily, both my brother and I chose to follow Christianity. My best friend Amanda, if you guys don't know her, she is my sister from another mister. I don't know how you guys wouldn't know her, but basically I literally grew up with her. Our moms were best friends in high school. They got pregnant about a year apart. We're literally 11 months apart. So we literally grew up together. Now for her, she did grow up in a Christian household. Her mom was, her grandparents were. So her mom and her stepdad actually opened up their own church like 6 years ago, I think already it's been. But prior to that, every time I would sleep over, which was like every weekend, so Saturday nights, you know, Sundays, we would go to church because her family did that. And it was like so nice. So when they were planning on opening up their church, I was like, I'm in, like count me in, I will be there. And then they started their youth group, so I was into that. So I would say definitely because of her, at a really young age, I started going to Christian Sunday services with her. So we did kids ministry, then we did youth ministry together. and at her church we ended up becoming youth leaders. So I am also no longer a leader there, but I felt very confident with the student leaders that I had brought up. Basically, my best friend Amanda is still currently a leader, so I knew that even me stepping away, the youth ministry would be in really good hands. And the new youth pastor is also amazing. I just couldn't keep doing it at the moment. Eventually I would love to be able to go back. So I've been going to that church, and I'm not going to say the name because that is something I am still going to keep private just for privacy reasons. Started going there Sundays and Tuesdays being our youth nights. So wow, okay, this might get emotional, and I'm starting off with the most like emotional part and I didn't even realize. Okay, I really hope I don't start crying, but just FYI, it might happen. I think they opened their church my freshman year in high school. I'm pretty sure, unless it was already a year before that. I'm not sure, I actually don't remember. But I do remember my sophomore year in high school, I was still a youth student there, so I would still go and try to make it as often as possible. Eventually I stopped going because my cheer practices ended up falling on the same nights or the same evenings as youth ministry, and I would still try to make it on Sundays, but weekends were always our competitions. I eventually just stopped going to church. I wouldn't say completely, but at one point for a few months I did stop going like completely. I would say prior to that my relationship with God was up in the air. I wouldn't say that I had everything figured out because no kid really does. So to me, going, it was because, you know, in youth you go to hang out with friends, and yeah, so Sundays also, you know, being in the Sunday service, because youth would occasionally get together on Sundays. I would sit through the services and I didn't really connect with the messages. So again, it was, my faith in God was there, but it wasn't 100% like it is now. So eventually I stopped going and my faith just really wasn't there. I think my mind was just way too scattered, and during my sophomore year in high school, because at that time I was still in public high school, I was cheering, I was doing all that. I was very just busy all the time, cooped up in my brain about the high school life. I had a lot of things going on with toxic friends at the time, so I just stopped going. Eventually, for my junior year, I convinced my parents to let me do online homeschooling, because to me, my priority in myself was committing to YouTube and wanting to build myself off of this and all the things that I'm doing now, which is amazing. But it took a lot of convincing to my parents, so I started doing online school, and it was just amazing because I really didn't want to go back to high school and deal with anyone there. My freshman year was fun. My sophomore year, the only thing fun about that was being on cheer. Other than that, I literally hated it. Basically, I had lost touch with God. I wasn't praying, I wasn't reading the Bible, I wasn't doing devotionals, I literally wasn't going to church whatsoever, so my connection really wasn't there. And I think my only actual real connection was having my friend Amanda. Her stepdad's the main pastor, and you know, like, they had their own church going on, so for her, she was always trying to get me back to go to church. Of course, you know, school started. I was online school and it was going great for the first month. I had texted one of my old friends who I hadn't seen in probably like 3 years, and our parents even know each other, like we were really close. We had been childhood friends. So I randomly texted her and I was like, we need to get together. She was in Vegas at the time with some of her family, and we were texting, planning on meeting up. I think we were texting probably on like a Friday or a Saturday, and planning on meeting up that following Tuesday when she was back from vacation. And yeah, we were just gonna hang out. We were super excited because we hadn't seen each other in a few years. And then I get a text on Sunday, and I remember this specifically because that whole day was the crappiest day of my entire life. So Sunday evening, we got back from having dinner with my grandma, I think. So we were gone pretty much all day. I know I was gone because, again, it was just a really bad day. So I got a text that evening from a super old friend that I stopped talking to because, you know, toxicity. So I didn't even have her number, and I was like, who is this? Because the text straight up said, so-and-so just died. And my heart sank, and I was like, who is this? And how do you know? And she was like, this is so-and-so, and because it's all over social media. So I right away on Twitter, because Twitter was the biggest thing, so I went on Twitter, and everyone was tweeting about it and saying stuff about she was with her best friend and the best friend's mom crashed, and it was here and it was local. And to me, I just kept thinking, like, so she came back, like she was back. My mind was just all over the place. So immediately I told my mom, because we were literally getting out of the car to just walk inside from a long day, and I told my mom because I physically, like, couldn't get out of the car, and I was like, Mom, she just died. And my mom was like, what? Who told you this? So I was like, doesn't matter, like, what do I do? Like, what is happening? Like, I couldn't function. My mom was like, we need to call her dad. And my parents were trying to get a hold of her dad, and they didn't answer. Her mom, she didn't answer. I didn't want to call her or text her because I just had a really bad feeling. So when I went back onto Twitter to keep seeing if, you know, anyone would have any updates, I noticed that I had a message, a DM from her cousin that I actually personally knew because we would hang out all the time again. And her cousin is actually my age, and to this day we actually hang out all the time. It's Brittany. Love you, Brittany. So Brittany had actually messaged me saying everything. Everyone on Twitter was getting everything wrong. None of that stuff was even true, besides the fact that my friend passed away. So luckily, thank the Lord, that Brittany, you know, had reached out, and we were following each other because she updated me, and so then we exchanged numbers and we started talking. And she basically said that that Sunday morning was the Disneyland, like, walkathon, I think it was. So Saturday night they were actually on their way to come back in time to do the Disneyland walkathon. So because they were leaving so late, they were in a fatal car crash. So my friend passed away, her dad passed away, and her two grandmothers passed away, and the only survivor was her mom. And even her mom was in very critical condition. But yeah, so once I found all that out, I just remember that week was brutal. I couldn't get out of bed. I luckily was online school, because if I would have missed a week's worth of public school, that would have been hell. I just remember waking up not wanting to do anything, but I wouldn't leave bed, and I was crying all day, like wondering why God would do this. Like, take her mom, like take her husband and her daughter and her mom's away. And I was so angry. I was so angry that God could do that to her mom. And I just kept reminding myself, like, I know she has two sons, like, I know she'll be okay. But I was mad at God. And I will never forget that. Every night I cried and I basically yelled at God for doing that, for taking my friend away when I wanted to see her, when we finally had the plans to see each other. And I don't know why. I don't know why it took that for me to be mad at God. Like, I literally don't know why. I don't know why I got mad at him, because obviously he has a plan, and I see that now. I need to wipe my face. Yeah, I don't know why I was mad at God. I don't know why I blamed him all of a sudden when I hadn't been talking to him, when I hadn't had any sort of connection with him. My friend Amanda, she and her mom kept texting me, asking me to come to church and to just come back because of the situation that had happened. And I was so angry with God that I was like, no, I'm not gonna go. Why would I go when he just took my friend and her whole family away and put her mom into misery? Like, no. I think maybe that third week, following week, or maybe even like a month goes by, I finally went to church. I finally went on a Tuesday night. I don't know why. Clearly it was God. I went and I broke down. The message was incredible. When they did an altar call, I walked up there. My friend Amanda walked me right up there, sat right next to me, and they prayed over me, and I bawled. So after that night, I'm giving you guys like my whole testimony, I had a relationship with God. I apologized to him for being so angry with him, and I told God that if it was their time, then it was their time. And I just prayed that he takes care of them and that he watches over her mom, who's still here. I've had the best relationship with God. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Never questioned his timing ever. So I basically found my own way to God with the help of my wonderful friend Amanda and their church, because again, I wasn't born into a super religious family, I would say. You know, that's my testimony, and also how I found my way to God, and my relationship with him is unbreakable, to say the least. The next question that I got a lot was, what would you suggest someone to do who wants to rebuild their relationship with God? So what I would suggest doing, clearly for me, to have my breakthrough with him and knowing who he is and just coming to terms with the fact that he has a plan for everyone, I had to go to church. I would say going to a Sunday service, or if you are a teenager, go to a youth ministry. Start off at a small church, or go to a big church if you like that. Or even go to a church, and if you don't feel like sitting in a Sunday service, go after a Sunday service and find the pastor and talk to a pastor and see their suggestions. Even right now during quarantine, there's Sunday services online. You can even do that. You can talk to people, talk to other Christians in a church, talk to ministry people, ministry leaders. I love listening to worship music. To me, I feel like I always get in my feels when I listen to worship music, but in a good way. I feel really connected when I worship, so that's a suggestion. Listening to music, who doesn't love that? Worship music slaps, okay? Reading books, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Bible. I would suggest to read the Bible, but it doesn't have to be reading the Bible. I read faith books, mostly women faith books, since I'm a woman of God, and they're super relatable. I would just suggest something like that. I know a lot of my followers are females, so yeah, I'll put a link to my favorite book in the description below that I literally love. Daily devotionals. I do a devotional every day. If I don't make it to a devotional, I will do a Bible verse a day. That's something that I usually don't skip. Yeah. Talking about relationships now. I love answering these because I feel like I get to be brutally honest. I got to talk about relationships a lot with my students, and it was really great because obviously I'm still young, so I related to them in many ways than not. So a lot of the questions are pretty straightforward. How does faith take place in a relationship? You may have heard this before, you may have not, but think of it as a triangle. So me as an individual, take yourself, just you. Your faith is believing in God, knowing He has a plan for you, all that stuff, all that good stuff. You as an individual love God so much that He gets to help you love yourself. So you love God, you love yourself, and then you get to love others. Just like that. That's how you should think, right? So the person that you want to be with, your spouse, your partner, all of that good stuff, and any type of relationship, friendship, relationship with a spouse, family members relationship, any type of relationship, they should think that way too, right? You would think as a Christian, that's what they think like too. They love God, they love themselves, and they're gonna love others. So you find a spouse, or you find a friend, or whatnot. In order for that relationship to work, your guys' main goal should be getting to God. And then you guys growing with each other. So you're growing with each other, but you guys can only grow so much. So where does God come into play? He doesn't unless you guys are also still putting God first. So we always think of it as a triangle. In church, we've always just, even when I was a student, this is what I was taught. So then this is what I pour into my students also. Your guys' main goal in a relationship should still be trying to get to God, going to heaven, serving God, spreading His word. Your goal shouldn't be trying to keep going in the relationship. It should be you guys in a relationship still going to God, aiming for God. So it should always be a triangle. Here's you guys, and here's God. It's a love triangle. I'm just gonna flat out say it personally, okay? Don't come for me in the comments. Personally, I don't think a relationship can work if you guys just don't support or accept each other's religion. Because in some sense, I do believe that if a spouse and you have different beliefs and different religions, but you guys are accepting of each other's religions, and can accept that and will still strive in your guys' religions as individuals but together in companionship, 100% I believe those relationships can work, 1000%. However, if you, like, take me, I've personally experienced it where that other person just doesn't have any beliefs and he's so caught up in this world. It's temporary. It won't last. It didn't last. It won't last. Everything is going to be temporary unless both of you guys have God in your lives. And that's speaking on Christians, because again, if your spouse or your friends have different religions, different beliefs, but they are still going by those beliefs as you are, of course those friendships can work. Of course those relationships can work. So do with that what you will. I got a lot of these questions too. Are you doubtful at times what God may have in store for you? Yes. Actually, no, I take that back. Not doubtful. I have 100% trust in my God and knowing that He is going to take me where I need to be. It did take me a while to grasp that, but the more I went to church and read books, I realized that He's the only one who has a plan for me, and He is guiding me on that every single day. So not so much doubtful, but there were at times where, still even, where I do get scared in knowing where things are going, just like now, this quarantine life, this virus that's going around. At first, I was pretty scared. Even now, I still take precaution. I just have so much trust in Him. He only does good, you guys. He only does good. I promise you, read books, read the Bible, hear out your pastors and the messages that they have for you, because God is speaking through them. Everything that's going on in this world that he created, it's in the Bible. It's all happening. He is real. I thought this question was pretty unique. I got another one that was similar to this, but I felt like I really needed to answer this because I am, at the end of the day, a child of God, but my job, my career, I'm a beauty influencer. I'm a social media influencer, you know, and a woman at that. So, do you think it's wrong for Christian women to get beauty enhancements, lip filler, etc., even if it's just their personal preference to dress up and just want to feel good? I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong mainly because the way I think about it, okay, let's not get into all the technicalities, but God made you who you are to feel beautiful and to know that you are beautiful and love yourself. Yes, totally agree. It took a really long time for me to even accept myself without God in my life. So when I found God in my life, I accepted who I was. But even I still work out. I still want to keep looking good to feel good for myself. Like I love myself no matter what, but I love myself more knowing that I have things at my reach in order to help improve that. So I feel like if you want to get beauty enhancements, 100% do it. Plastic surgery, needles, all that stuff. Do it. I don't think that you should be judged in any reason. I won't judge. I know there are women, even men, who will judge. Do their opinions matter? No, it's literally in the Bible. These people shouldn't even be judging you if they are fellow Christians, because God is the only one who can, and God loves you no matter what. Remember that. I got this one a lot in various types of questions. How has your journey with God helped you throughout life? This is a really good one because I feel like I have some good points to this. Basically, before I was fully 100% committed to God and I was in school and, you know, sidetracked by all these worldly things, I would look down on myself a lot, especially going through a lot of the things that I had gone through, unfortunately. I had toxic friends who were just not good friends. I would stress myself out a lot, like a lot. I would get stressed really easily. I broke out a lot because of stressing out. And again, that came back to not loving myself because I was like, what the heck is this on my face? Like I didn't feel good, I didn't look good. And I would just stress myself out a lot over the smallest things. I look back at it now, it's the smallest things. Also, high schoolers, students at that, come on now, like especially girls, we have such a hard time. When I found God, the way he's helped me was I talk to him a lot. I pray to him. I talk to him day and night, during the day, all the time. That's something that I would highly suggest, is just talking to him, because that's prayer in itself. Worship music, like worship time, that's prayer in itself too. Praying comes in all different types of forms. I would talk to him about stress and how I would stress out all the time and the acne that I was getting out of it and just not feeling good in my skin. So I remember just praying to him. I honestly don't know for how long, but I do remember asking of him to just allow me not to be stressed, that I don't ever want to consider myself stressed, that I don't ever want to even speak of that word, that I don't want to hear it. I want my skin to be clear and I want to feel good in my skin. And I remember after all that, I just had the most positive outlook on life. To this day, I still do. I hate the word stress. I don't ever consider myself stressed. I don't ever put stress on myself. I don't do it to others because I loathe that word. It's just a negative word to me. Instead, whenever I feel overwhelmed, that's the word that I use, is overwhelmed. I don't say that I'm stressed. When my mom says that she's stressed out, and my dad, my brother, I tell them like, no, you're not stressed out, you're just overwhelmed and you're gonna get through it. When you cause yourself stress, it's stressful and you just think of all the negative things that come with stress when it shouldn't be that way. You should feel overwhelmed and knowing that you're gonna eventually be underwhelmed, but it's gonna go away, because overwhelmed isn't negative. I feel like you hear it and you're just like, oh, that's a good way of putting stress. That's how God's helped me. He listens when you talk to him, when you pray to him, when you worship him, when you acknowledge him in general. So that's how he's helped me. And that's a huge impact in my life, I would say, because stress does cause acne, and my skin cleared and I felt good in my skin, and knowing that I had the most positive outlook on life, and everyone around me was always like, how are you not upset, or how are you not stressed with everything going on? How is it that you always have like a positive outlook, a positive face? And he's why. Hopefully God will help you in your journey too, because he's helped me and he still does every day. Going back to relationships, I got this question a lot also. Basically, my opinions on waiting until marriage. I feel like I have a pretty solid opinion on this. No one or nothing can change my opinion on this, believe me. Being a youth student, I don't remember. My youth pastors were awesome. Like the first youth pastors that we had, great. The second ones that we had, amazing. So those two youth pastors were really close to me. I loved them very much, and very still young, so they related to us a lot. Those first youth pastors, in my opinion, did a great job in explaining their opinions on waiting until marriage. So I was able to have my own opinion on it, and I felt good in knowing that they weren't judging us at all. Those second youth pastors, amazing also, and with those youth pastors I actually became a youth leader. But I remember we had a speaker one time who, let's just say I wasn't a fan, because she was probably one of those Christians who definitely judges others, and who wouldn't care to talk to you if your views were different than hers, which I didn't agree with. So when she came to speak with her husband was actually very cool. I'll tell you that, I'll give her that. They were pretty explicit also, which scared me because as a youth leader, I'm like, I'm not even that explicit when it comes to teaching our students. But basically their views were by the book. Wait until marriage, that it's the icing on the cake, it's the whole cake. Wait until marriage, literally don't do it until marriage. Like they were very just harsh, didn't relate to the students at all, because this girl grew up Christian and grew up with a dad who gave her a promise ring, and her husband was the opposite. Basically, long story short, I just didn't agree with that. So when it came to small groups and talking with our students individually, I loved that. I loved that I was able to speak with our students about just relationships and advice that I had. Basically, my opinions on waiting until marriage are, it doesn't need to be by the book. It's the 21st century, and I feel like if you're 100% committed to God, Jesus died on the cross for our sin, and if you did it before marriage and you feel uncomfortable, if you feel and you view it as a sin, repent it. God forgives you. Jesus died for your sin, for our sins, and move on with your life and wait until marriage. Do you. I say do whatever you want. As long as you're committed to God, I feel like that's all that matters. Growing up, your parents are going to tell you that you have to live your life, that you have to explore, that, you know, or maybe you have really strict parents and you can't do any of that stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say it, but I feel like I have to. I think it's crap to do it by the book. I know it's in the Bible. I know God says it. I know there's pastors that preach about it, to wait until marriage. But guys, my parents didn't wait until marriage, and they had me. I know there's Christians who didn't wait until marriage and had kids with other people. So, and that was before this generation. So I feel like, do whatever you want. If you're committed to God, then you're committed to God. But remember, just remember, I feel like it definitely should be with someone you're also committed to. That's also my opinion. It should definitely be someone else you're committed to, because then it probably just doesn't feel right? I don't know. So take that into consideration. But otherwise, do what you want. And if you feel like that's not for you, then it's not for you. But if you feel like you need to explore and live your life, then you need to explore and live your life with God. Another question that I got pretty often was, how do I keep my faith strong and going during this time? I know it's really hard, you guys. I know that it's really, really hard, and I try to use my platform to be as positive as possible throughout this time, which is why I don't really talk about it. And I feel like those who are still talking about it either just need to stop, because to me it's kind of annoying at this part. Like, it's not going away, you guys. They're figuring it out. They're going to figure it out. God is going to give answers to someone. He's going to get us through this. But that's how I see it. I feel like God is just putting it on me to be as positive as possible and spread that positivity and spread his word, and knowing that we're going to be okay. Again, he only does good, you guys. It's in the Bible what everything is happening right now. And I don't think that he would put us in harm's way. I think that he just has a plan right now, and we're all going to get through it. And clearly, there are cons to this, but there are a lot of pros to this. We're gonna be okay, you guys. I pray about it every day, and I hope that you guys pray about it also. Another question that I got was, what does it mean to have faith? I feel like it's definitely different for everyone. For me, it's having a God that I believe in, and knowing that he does good, and knowing that he's going to lead me to the best possible outcome, and eventually with him. I mean, that's the best way that I can explain it for myself, because again, it's different for everyone. But that's what faith is to me. It's unconditional love, positivity and kindness, and walking in grace. Another question is, believing in God enough, or do we have to go to church? No, you don't have to go to church. And I've heard my pastor speak on this before. It's not the church itself. Yes, it's the house of God. It's the Father's house. But he is wherever you are. And it doesn't have to be the building. It can be your own home. It can be with a group of people that you guys just speak about God. You guys share a message, a devotional, worship, any of that stuff. Believing in God, I feel like, is enough. It can be. But he wants you to also work for it. He's not just gonna, like, I've met some people where they just believe in God and that's it. They don't read the Bible, they don't listen to worship music, they don't take the time to pray, they don't talk to God whatsoever. They just believe that he's there. I know a lot of people like that, and that's where I kind of say it's not enough. I've been told, even with all the things that I do, it's not enough. So sometimes I do feel like that. But then I kind of think like, well, not everyone knows exactly what I do, and when I do it, you kind of have to read the Bible. It's the only way to really understand God's full word and who you are and why you are, and God and his life and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. So I would say believing in God can be enough, but highly suggest doing some forms of prayer, talking it out with fellow Christians, having like a Bible study. Yeah, go to church, listen to messages, go to a ministry, join a ministry. Those are all fun things, believe it or not, really fun things. And right now we get to do it all in the comfort of our own home, you guys. Take advantage of it right now. Take advantage of it. I'm gonna leave you guys with this one question. because I'm talking a lot. It is, what is your favorite verse and why? My favorite verse is actually in my bio on Instagram for everyone to see, because y'all have to just look it up in order to know why. That's why I leave it there. I don't actually write the verse out. It is 1 Corinthians 16:14, and it is, let all that you do be done in love, and I live by that. I feel like that should be everyone's life motto, actually, because I feel like I've finally gotten to the point in my life, not just recently, probably when I came to God again, which was, I was 16, said to myself that I was only gonna do that. I remember being in certain situations with my parents, with friends, where I wasn't happy, and I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't want to be miserable like those people, like my parents. My parents aren't miserable, but I just remember having to correct them sometimes and telling them, like, you are putting your misery on me just because you're miserable right now in this time of your life, because it doesn't last forever. I just remember like telling myself that I will only do things in love. So when I found that verse, I just connected to it right away, and I live by it. I won't do anything that I don't love. And that comes with my job even. I won't share anything that I don't believe in. I will only share the products that I love. I will only take career opportunities that I love. If I don't love it, I won't do it, because then I'm lying to myself. That's not what God would want me to do. Why would I accept something if it's going to make me miserable? Hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys want a part 2. Could even do some of my favorite worship songs. I love you so much, you guys. Don't forget to follow me on my social medias linked down below. Subscribe if you aren't already. Like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Love you.